Let's get ourselves right into it, and I know it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, there we go. Teamy is going to be picked up. Yep, Teamy is the first pick. That leaves L'Oreal open, so L'Oreal should be taking here along. Oh, they're going to protect the side lane. So this is exactly what Vitali wants to do. Get really strong side lane heroes like Wonder Woman and Zinio, and it's Superman being picked up there. That's a very strong side lane hero.
You expected to see Superman banned off the mark. What does that do now for SK strategy securing themselves as something of a strong pick with the combination that Superman as well as Teamy on the same team provide?
Yeah, Superman is such a good initiator. He flies, and there's a L'Oreal being picked up there because she's the next bit. And Murad, he is such a strong hero because he can poke with his ultimate and not get targeted. So there's a lot of good plays around Murad in the jungle. And then we have Ryoma, a strong side laner, and Zil, a mage assassin there for jungle, most likely here.
Let's talk a little bit about this Wonder Woman as well and the roaming that she can provide for these teams.
Yeah, Wonder Woman is strong in the side lane. She's very tanky. She does a lot of damage. They build her very defensively. She has an ultimate that gives her entire team behind her a barrier, and then she gives a huge health buff. As well. So Wonder Woman is initiator. You want to initiate with her and then use her lasso to pull an enemy towards you, and then let your team focus that enemy down.
Now, we had a very quick draft phase, but Sweej, I've got to ask you because we are going to be over the entirety of the next 6 weeks. We're going to be able to see what you think, and we're going to be able to track that and see exactly how smart you really are. And so looking at the drafts that you have, who do you see as the front leader? SK, Team Vitality.
Yeah, both drafts look really good, but I really like SK's draft. They got Teamy and Superman. Those are tier S heroes that they picked up, and with Azil, and with that die potential, double mage. So I think SK has the better draft here because of Teamy and Superman.
All right, well, Sweej has locked in SK Gaming, but we want to know what you guys think at home. Who do you feel is going to win? Is it going to be SK Gaming? Is it going to be Team Vitality? Make sure you take over to Twitter and use the hashtag Valor Series to let us know who you think is going to win, as well as what you think here of the first broadcast for the Valor Series throughout the course of the day. We are going to be reading those tweets aloud and getting your guys' opinions. But with that, we are going to get right into game, the first quarterfinal of the Valor Series presented by AT&T.
And here we go, SK being the more aggressive team here, as predicted. They have a 4-man jungle invade, and then dropping to 3 with Preda going to the mid now, going to farm, and they're going to steal the blue buff. And the reason why, guys, the blue buff is taken because it gives a lot of cooldown abilities and allows you to farm a little faster in jungle and get ahead of your enemy team.
And Azur's going to get caught out. We talked a lot about how that Thane's very great at getting on the engage, but running away isn't going to be off of his best mark, as he's going to end up having to use that one ability to get himself away, and he's going to be forced to go back to base.
Yeah, and you can see how strong Superman and Teamy are. When Superman walks around, he starts flying, and he can use his abilities to do a lot of damage when he rushes towards him. And look at SK being so aggressive here. 3-on-3 right now as they're being collapsed on from this invade.
Yep, it's forcing the Wonder Woman to come up from the bottom side of the map because this aggression of SK is just way too much Vitality left to handle. You're going to have a little bit of a knockup from Adme, but they're just going to disengage and go right back to their lane.
Yeah, and you saw that. He had his buff. So you see running, Superman charges up, and then he basically charged both enemies, and look how much health he took away from them. This is what makes Superman such a high priority pick and ban in the meta right now. And in EU teams, they tend to let him through, thinking that they can counter him. So let's see if Vitality has a plan to counter this Superman.
We were doing our prep and research beforehand, and a statement that you made very clear to yourself was if Superman's in the game, whoever picks him is going to win. I guess we're going to have to see if that's the case here for SK.
Yeah, he usually has a higher win rate, but he has lost actually in the Go 4 Cup. The reason why he's so strong is he's a tank, he's a warrior, he's an assassin, and he's mobile.
Okay, he can't be everything at the same time,
He's basically a Superman. And look, they're making a play. The Spirit Sentinel spawns at the 150 mark, and SK rotates on it like precision. Abyssal Dragon spawns at 2, but with the Sentinel being taken, that gives the entire team of SK a little bit of gold and gives the person that kills the Sentinel a HP regeneration.
Ultimates are going to be available for both of these teams, as that Abyssal Dragon is getting fought over Vex. Like what you mentioned, the damage that he's able to provide was just enough. Vex is going to take down Sweetero. Moon is going to be the next one on the menu. He's not going to be able to get away. Poseidon takes him down. Azur, the Thane might be able to get the skill shot from Vex, misses, but there's going to be a little bit of the speed up from Superman, and it looks like they might be able to just finish him off.
Yeah, this was huge for SK, and the reason why, you saw Vex, he actually turned level 4. He turned level 4 before all the other carries on Vitality did, and he used his ultimate immediately once he turned level 4, and that turned the tide of the fight in their favor. And now, because of their aggression in jungle, taking the Sentinel and the Abyssal Dragon, this puts them at 2k gold lead.
An early advantage, as well as the ability to counter jungle onto the side of Vitality. Wonder Woman's going to try to run away, but I don't think, actually, we stand corrected. Sweet Aurora will survive, be forced back to the base, and just like that, 3 minutes, SK with a 3-0 lead over Vitality.
Yeah, and you look at the junglers here. Zil already has his first tier 3 item. He has his Loki's Curse, and Murad has not even finished a tier 3 item. So they're behind right now. So what Vitality needs to do is they need to turtle. They need to basically look for opportunities to take advantage of SK's overextension, over-aggression, and get some kills on the map. Because giving first blood over means you gave that person 300 gold and 3 kills already to 0, along with the Abyssal Dragon and Sentinel, puts Vitality a little bit behind in levels.
Well, we had a very aggressive start for SK, but things have normalized themselves out a little bit. We need to talk about when the next level of aggression is going to happen for SK.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be around when the Abyssal Dragon spawns again. The Sentinel spawning in 8 seconds here. You can see on the mini-map it's counting down. So SK expertly positions on that side of the map. So that's how a good team plays. And look at Xenio's out coming in here, giving damage reduction to Azure, and this fight is so close. Let's see if Vitality's gonna be able to turn this around and get 1 kill at least here.
Going to try to get everything, and Vex picks him up. Another kill into the game. Redemption's going to go down as well.
Wow.
Poseidon picking up that kill on the Moon, and now with the Spirit Sentinel up again, it looks like they're actually going to group themselves up and try to get this mid lane turret.
Yeah, they're going to go focus on tower here, which is the right thing because, again, objectives win the map. So they're going to push down the tier 1 tower, and then they're going to rotate over to either the Sentinel or the Abyssal Dragon. But you saw what SK did. As soon as the bat was spawning, the countdown, that's what a really good team does. They position and take map control of that side of the map, knowing that the objective is going to come up, because the teams that grab these objectives and stack Sentinel Bats and Abyssal Dragons is a team that's going to get ahead in gold and experience.
And this is where things are really going to start to get scary for Vitality, because we're coming up on 60 seconds remaining until that Dark Slayer spawns, and we all know what happens when you're able to secure yourself that buff, especially after 2 Abyssal Dragons in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, so what Vitality needs to do now is to clean out their jungle as quick as possible. They need to get Murad to his mid-game power spike because he is pretty weak in the early game of the phase. SK, what they need to do is just invade and starve and push more towers down because they have a very healthy lead. And look at the level advantage. Level 8, 8, 7, 7 on the side of SK, and we have someone that's still level 5 on the side of Vitality. So SK needs to play aggressive and take advantage of this, and you can see how they're positioning, taking the bat every time. I mean, this is a team that has definitely studied the game and playing like clockwork now to shut down and starve out Vitality.
Coming up on the 5-minute, 40-second mark, we have an astronomical lead in favor of SK Gaming. They're up about 4,000 gold. We're going to have our roams towards the top side of the map. Remember, 12 seconds remaining until that Dark Slayer is up and available, so they want all the members towards that top side of the map, and this is where Vitality is going to have to get themselves some of a bit of protection because we might potentially see ourselves a dive.
Yeah, exactly. But what Vitality needs to do is clear out that wave immediately so they can't put any little amount of damage on a tower as possible, and they basically need to get a pick. They need to wait for SK to make a mistake because that's the only way they're going to get back into this game here. You can see Murad here is so mobile. He does another dimension, which is that circle, which makes him basically immune to damage and he cannot be targeted in that brief period. And also he can then teleport back to his original spot. And that is ultimate right there. And you can see he's using it, but he's going to be caught out here and basically
Great
lose the fight.
Great rotation there by SK Gaming. They're going to get themselves 2 party kills for their available. And just like that, the rotations again out of SK. You talked a lot about their aggressive maneuvering, and there hasn't been a sage buff acquired by Vitality in the last few minutes as a result.
Yeah, they're constantly, they have that sage buff on a jungle timer, and every time it's about to spawn, SK positions aggressively on that side of the map, sets themselves up with a 3-man invade, normally 3 to 4-man invade, and then they're able to put pressure and then starve them out. And look at, they're always taking a dragon. As soon as these objectives spawn, their team is constantly set up and in position to quickly take it. And look at the gold lead now and experience lead.
Timing is the name of the game for Arena of Valor, and that timing has been impeccable by SK. We talked a lot about their precision as well as their ability to coordinate as a team, and that's exactly what they're doing now at just over 7 minutes in the game. They're up 6.7 thousand gold over Vitality.
Yeah, Vitality still has a chance to get back in here. They have to just get a really good team fight. But right now, SK is giving them a really hard time because of how tight their movements have been. The team is rotating so well together that they're not overextending. They're playing very, very patiently. And then basically when an enemy gets dived on like Superman does 2v1, they're rotating to help him and support him immediately.
And so just like that, it's going to be another little bit of a scuffle You can see the ultimates coming out, but here we go. Poseidon's going to try to join himself onto the mark. He's going to miss the skill shot. Thane's going to try to get everything that he wants on it. Moon's going to try to join the fray as well, but they're going to have to be going themselves back and forth because we're not going to get a kill just yet.
Yeah, one thing you notice, SK is being aggressive once they clear out the enemy jungle of Murad. Murad needs to hit and stack to basically open up his rift. Once he has 4 stacks, he can then use his ultimate called Temporal Turbulence, which allows him to poke and not get targeted and not take any damage. You see him jumping across the map with his shadows behind. That is Murad's win condition. If he has no jungle on his side, he cannot stack, then he cannot use his win condition. You can see there 4, and that's his ultimate right there. His Temporal Turbulence does so much damage. So once they need to get him to the late game. Once Murad gets to late game, he's a monster to deal with.
And Vitality, they need to switch their direction over. They went from a very reactive playstyle. They have to find a way to switch themselves onto proactive, because if this aggression by SK continues, there's not going to be much that Vitality can do as a result. And now, Eek is going to get himself caught out. He's going to go down. Legendary goes Vex. And this is going to be another valiant effort by SK to continue to push themselves forward against Vitality.
Look at the Superman's damage there. Took over a half of Redemption's health with just 1 initiation. That is the power of Superman, because he can fly and walk. When he's flying and moving that fast, you need to be careful with how he engages, because he does so much damage if he catches you out.
5.2 thousand gold in his pocket. 3-0-8 for the Superman himself as the Dark Slayer goes down. And this is where things start to get to a disastrous situation for Vitality.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, SK has Teamy. Teamy's ultimate is being a bro. When he activates his ultimate before his carries die, they revive his carries. So Teamy's ultimate is so powerful, and that's why. And they haven't even need to use it yet. This is how ahead SK is right now with their team, and you can see how expert they're playing. Look at their rotations; they're constantly rotating and catching out Vitality. And like I said, Vitality needs to get a pick. They need to rotate together, 5-man, and hopefully win an uneven numbers advantage when it comes to 5 versus 3, for example.
Arena of Valor doesn't have any sort of vision utility at their disposal, and so teams face-checking, if they catch themselves in an unfortunate skirmish, will find themselves a loss, as now we're going to start to see SK Gaming push themselves on this Tier 2 bot lane turret. Azure is going to go down. That's going to be another legendary attack for Vex, and this is going to be a very fast tower. We're at 10.5 minutes into the game. Towers are going down quickly.
Yeah, they are. We see this a lot in SEA. The Superman 7 went behind the tower and then rushed them and pushed Azure into them. And look at this fight here. This is Vitality's chance to turn this game around if they win this fight.
They can. Vex, he is going to be able to be shut down by Pseudoro. That's the main damage dealer for the side of SK that has done everything off the mark, but it doesn't matter because they're still going to be forced to go back in the mark. The Tier 2 turret in the mid lane goes, and now the high ground turrets are going to be the priority target here for SK Gaming.
Yeah, you can see Zil. Zil has Hecates, which gives him Magic Pierce and 30% ability power across the band. Zywinder, which is an item that gives him 50% attack speed, and he's a mage assassin that does a lot of magic damage. So when he attacks quicker, it's going to give him so much damage burst as an assassin. And this build from Zil makes him extremely dangerous in the late game. And he has also Enchanted Boots. Enchanted Boots gives him even more Pierce. So watch Zil and watch how much damage Vex is going to do here when he uses Zil's ultimate.
15-1, 36,000 to the 25,000 SK over Vitality right now. And obviously, it's safe to say that SK is very heartily in the lead. So Vitality, depending, they might decide to chalk this one up to a loss. How are they going to change things for Game 2, considering the way that Game 1 is going?
Yeah, they have to protect their jungle. They need to allow Redemption to scale. And if they know that SK is going to invade them, they need to trade more often. Don't even fight for the blue buff. Just trade and counter-invade. And basically, you avoid the enemy team. You basically do opposite exactly what they're doing. So if they're invading your jungle, you invade their jungle, and you basically don't fight.
And
look at that play.
This could potentially be the last team fight, depending on how SK decides to play this out. No one has gone down quite yet, but here is where Vex continues to get the onslaught that he's had. Superman is going to try to go in. They're going to have all the damage against on the tower. Moon will take him down. but the damage does not continue. That high ground turret's going to go down. Vex does a great job at ignoring the team members to secure that objective, and this is the efficiency of SK that we've seen time and time again.
Yeah, and you see that, well, Vitality did get 2 kills, but you see Teamy's ultimate. He actually revived, if you guys are wondering why we had that 1 kill and they killed on top tower, Teamy revived his ally, and they were able to come back right into the fight because of that ultimate. And this is what makes Teamy so strong. But this is a decent trade for Vitality. They did lose the tower, though, but they did get 2 kills, which kind of puts them back in the game. But again, they're still behind more than 10k gold and have not touched or gotten any Abyssal Dragon or Sentinels.
Well, the gates have been opened. The middle high ground turret has been destroyed. SK securing themselves every Abyssal Dragon that has spawned and increasing their lead to 12,000 at the 13-minute mark. And with the more powerful minions coming down the mid lane, a simple split, a simple potential could happen for SK to take the game 1 victory.
Yeah, and I want to comment about Superman's build. The reason why Superman has no kind of attack items yet, except for maybe that spear, he does 12% of his own maximum HP as damage, and he also has the Mail of Pain. That actually reflects damage that he gets. So as an initiator, this is a great build for Superman. It makes him super tanky, reflects damage, and can then CC and disrupt his enemy team.
And that's why you see him on the split push. No one from Vitality can handle him at this point. The other 4 members are going to have, but just like that, 7 actually going to rotate themselves around. The bloodbath happens as Poseidon is able to take down another member of Vitality, and this could spell death, disaster, and the game 1 loss, as Vitality is doing everything they can to continue to fight, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Moon secures that kill onto Vex, but all the while, Pitch is going to have it. But again,
Ooh,
Vitality
wow.
barely gets himself survived, but look at how low that high ground turret on the top side is.
Yeah, it is, and I was surprised SK didn't focus the high ground turret on the right side, because that turret was doing so much work. It was like the sixth teammate of the side of Vitality. However, they're so ahead that the damage just isn't enough coming up from the side of Vitality. They don't have a lot of tier 3 items to do that damage.
And this is where things are going to start to get even scarier for Vitality. 2 of the 3 high ground turrets are done. The last ditch effort, Pitch is going to find himself. He's going to go out, but it doesn't matter because that whip from Sudaro is get him back. The members of SK are going to have to be forced to disengage, but with less than 10% on that final high ground turret, as well as 2 already taken away, it looks like the cards are spelled out clearly for SK.
Yeah, I love what Vitality is doing. Look at that. 4 of their carries have Medallion of Troy. Right, Thane, Wonder Woman, L'Oreal. Medallion of Troy gives you a ton of magic defense and also gives you a shield that protects you. You see Wonder Woman, Thane, they have that little bubble around them. That's what Medallion Troy does. So because Vitality has 2 mage carries, they have a Zil and a Preda, which are both mages and do a lot of burst damage. So Vitality is building very efficiently here to counter SK's damage output.
They are indeed, but with very little infrastructure left for the side of Vitality, disaster could be struck very soon, but here is Vitality actually coming, get themselves back. Ika is going to be able to pick that kill up, and so now the onslaught from Vitality. You said they were prioritizing the items appropriately, and just like that, they're able to secure themselves a nice little couple kills.
This is huge for Vitality, and it's exactly what they need to do, but earlier they grouped up, had an unfair fight. This is such a great fight to kind of rewatch later, but what they did there, they have a lot of magic defense. They have a good power spike, right? They can survive long. Look how much defense Thane is building as well. That allowed him to soak up the damage and allow his carries to then delete the side of SK there. So Vitality has a chance to come back in this game, even though they're still down 10k gold.
10,000 gold down, but the hopes and the dreams of Vitality are still alive as Redemption is going to do all of the damage right off the start with that ultimate. Now they're chasing down onto the mid lane, forcing the members of SK to rotate, and I like the fact that Vitality is sticking together. In these situations, there's so much damage on the side of SK that if they can chain their CC together and stay as a unit, they're going to have a much higher chance for success.
Yeah, exactly. The key is Vitality needs... Murad is still behind in terms of his build, but he has 3 damage items, Soul Reaver, Rank Breaker, and Muramasa, which gives him some lifesteal, a little bit of damage, some pierce from the Rank Breaker. He can do a lot of poke because if you look at the side of SK, Preda does not have that much defense, so Preda should be Murad's focus. Preda just has no armor defense, so Murad is going to do so much damage onto Preda if he can land an ultimate onto that hero. So let's see if Vitality can turn this around and play to their win condition here.
Gonna have the Dark Slayer going down again in favor of SK. That health and mana regen is so important for a lot of these fights, as it looks like Azur's gonna have to be forced to walk away, but the team he wants to come in, he wants to fight a very tanky front line for the members of SK.
Yeah, they should not fight this because Dark Slayer gives your entire enemy team a 30% damage amp. That is really dangerous to pick a fight against. So they need to play passively, just play defensive, clear out the wave, and protect this tower here, and not get hit by the pokes of Cryte, which they're being subjected to right now. So they need to play a little cautiously here so that they can survive and win this team fight.
Still 2 high ground turrets are down and out for the count. The next wave of minions is going to come down, and this is going to be all but on the menu.
This is the fight here.
This is going to be the final fight, potentially, of the match.
Oh.
All 3 high ground turrets have been completed. Moon is going to be very low, but he's going to try to get himself healed right back up. Super minions again are deployed, but Vex ignores the rest of the team, ignores the members. He's going to take down the core. Game 1 goes to SK Gaming.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you want to do to take off the core. Once the minions are there, the core loses its defensive buffs, and then they can just take it out immediately. And so instead of trying to fight Vitality, they just focus on the objective and they win, and that's exactly what SK did. They won the objective.
For the first quarterfinal of the day here in the Valor series for Europe, it's going to be SK up 1 game over Team Vitality, and this is where things are really going to start to get interesting.
Yeah,
both teams.
SK does have a nice composition. They're not going to invade because Liliana is actually a little weaker in the early game. And both teams are not going to invade here. They're going to play a little more passive because they know that they need to scale up their mages. Liliana and L'Oreal will need to scale up. Both captains or supports are in the middle of the lane here, giving vision. I love the rotation. I love the rotation that Mina's doing. She's checking on the enemy jungle, see where they're at, and giving their team information to then rotate and make a play here.
And so just like that, we did see Vitality also get themselves a little bit more defensive of a start. They didn't fall prey to the disaster that was game number 1 by SK. As they're going to do a great little job, pull that might buff, get a nice little reset, and force a little bit of a change. But now the skirmishes are coming in. It's Vitality that decides to be the harassers.
Yeah, and this is where Mina gave vision, and then the Redemption and the side of Vitality cleared their jungle first, and now they're moving up towards SK here. And look at this engage here. A nice heal coming out, saving the enemy team. And let's see, it's going to come down to a few engage, and wow, SK takes the kill there.
Poseidon's able to pick up the kill onto Azure. Vex as well, and so just like that, that's going to be a nice little rebuttal there by Vitality. We said they needed to change up their playstyle, and they're doing just that.
Yeah, Vitality's definitely playing more confident, more aggressive now. This is looking really good for Vitality. SK did get the first kill, which gives them first blood. However, the gold lead is now swinging a little bit advantage in the side of Vitality, and they're doing a really good job here.
Arena of Valor, unlike other MOBAs you have the ability to buy your items while you're on the map.
Yeah.
And so if you are aggressive and you're able to get some extra gold into your pocket, you're going to find yourself in a much more successful position.
Yeah, and let's see who's in a posture. You see there, Azure is doing such a good job giving constant vision to his team. He then goes to the Abyssal Dragon, see the enemy team is on it. He pulls it to reset it, so it goes back, so that SK has no chance to rush it. And this buys his team more time because Roma is going home, and now they can basically set up and contest Dragon at this point.
I like the patience of Vitality being able to ensure that they're going to have these defensive positionings against the members of SK, because SK's aggression completely dominated, but more importantly, took the members of Vitality off guard. And so now things are going to be very important for Vitality to come off the mark. As that Abyssal Dragon is spawned, the members of SK are wanting to posture. The bird's going to go down into the favor of blue side. So they're going to have that vision capabilities. They're going to try to zone off the members of Vitality, but they're going to be trying to stick around. But all 5 members of SK are available.
Look at that ultimate by
Dragon
Cryte there, and this is a huge push there. And then Zenio comes in from the other side of the map. This could be a turnaround fight for Vitality here, and are they going to secure some kills here against SK? And they do. Beautiful play there. This is what makes Zenio so good. He can ult from across the map, and they secure the Dragon and win the trade here. Oh, it's a 2-for-2 trade, but they get the Dragon, which is huge. 3-for-2.
3-for-2 trade, but more importantly, like you said, it was the fact that they got that Abyssal Dragon in their favor. That was a beautiful effort by Vitality, but more importantly, it was the patience that brought them on. We're going to be able to see in just a second exactly what happened on that mark, and this is where things are important, because SK, like what you mentioned, they were posturing, all 5 members were around, and now...
Look at the Zenio all come down onto the crash there. Look at that stun. He lands a huge stun on an entire team. And look at their focus there. They're able to get the kill on Vex. Their key person, get the kill on Lumbar, and then get the Dragon here. Beautiful fight by Vitality.
We have conversed a lot about the power of Vex and what he provides for their team. But more importantly, if Vex goes down, that's the shot caller down for the members of SK. And so it's a really great effort for them if they're able to take him down, which in that last engagement they did. Now Vitality is up 2,000 gold here over SK at just over the 4-minute mark.
Yeah, I really like how Azura's playing. Watch the Mina. She has her second ability called Death Sit. She can pull someone to her and basically take them, basically put them out of in a really bad position and slowing their movement speed for 50% for 2 seconds. And she has ultimate Dark Dominion. That is the huge one. If she has, yeah, she doesn't have Flicker, but if the enemy team is engaging on their Liliana, she can use Dark Dominion to taunt the entire enemy team towards her and make them attack her instead of anyone else, and that gives the Vitality the time to then focus Vex down.
25 seconds until the next spawn, and we're at just over a minute until that Dark Slayer spawns. We talked a lot about the power of the Dark Slayer, but both of these teams actually delayed their first Dark Slayer take in that last game.
Yeah, for sure. You can see that Liliana is quite ahead here. 2.9k gold versus L'Oreal's 2.3. She already has an orb of Magi and a Gilded Greaves, and L'Oreal only has an orb and a tier 1 boot. So this puts them a nice lead here, where now they can start pressuring the map and hopefully start to snowball SK.
Siege weapons are up and available into the side, and now we're going to have Pitch try to get himself a little bit of an engage. We saw the last team fight of the Abyssal Dragon be a big decider for Vitality, but now it's Poseidon. He's going to go down. And what is this Vitality team we did not see in the last game?
They're catching them out. I mean, they're playing exactly what they need to do to win the fight. L'Oreal was out of position. It was a 1v4, and the Crush ulted. The Zinio came in from across the map, stunned her, and then L'Oreal was then locked down. That's L'Oreal's weakness. Once she gets locked down, she can't use her very mobile abilities and blinks to dodge, and they're able to win that trade, get the kill, and take another dragon. Now they're stacked 2 dragons, and they're ahead in gold and experience. And look at the gold lead here. They got 2 dragons, and SK only got 1, but look at the gold lead for the side of Vitality.
It's growing, growing, growing even farther for the members of Vitality. And we said they needed to change up the playstyle and stop the aggression. They're the ones that are being proactive now, ensuring that they read exactly where SK going is off the mark. Yes, they lost in a reverse sweep to Royal last week, but that doesn't mean that they don't have the capabilities to take something off of SK.
Yeah, the good news is SK has such a huge combo. They just need to fight together, right? Lumbar has an AoE stun, his ultimate. Zephy's has a knock-up, AoE knock-up. Malok has an AoE stun. So as long as they combo those 3 together, they can easily turn a fight around.
So now we're coming up on the 7-minute mark here. Game number 2, SK versus Vitality. The inaugural season of the Valor series for both Europe and North America, with all 4 quarterfinal matches being taken place today, as we're going to see a little bit of a slower matchup.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see how Wonder Woman will be able to play a key role in this fight here, because they need to basically dive in there and try to get onto the Liliana. If they don't get onto Liliana, SK is going to have a really hard time winning these fights.
Nice little bush check there by Aban. Wants to go in and see exactly where the members are. Remember, they don't have any vision utility, and so every chance to see some sort of vision from the enemy team is going to be those brush checks, and so it's going to have to be the tanky members or the more mobile characters that decide to get themselves off the mark, as the members of Vitality are waiting around in this middle lane bush. They're trying to catch a member of SK off guard. They're going to have to pull out all the tricks because they are 1 game away from losing this first quarterfinal match.
Yeah, I wish Vitality here, what they could have done is they need to posture like SK did in the last game and take over the dragon side of the map, you know, win the map control and take the objective. Because they didn't do that, that allows SK to then collapse as they're trying to take the dragon here, and it's an uneven number. Zenio needs to ult, and Zenio is ulting here onto the Crash. And now they're caught on. Beautiful ultimate by Crash there, landing a 3-person stun onto the team of SK.
And I like the dive potential. You had 7 going back up onto the Liliana, forcing him to walk all the way around and join the fight. SK Pitch is able to pick up that kill, and now this is where SK decides to turn them things around. The zoning of the Wonder Woman was impeccable at getting themselves a little bit of that success. It's not going to be enough damage. Another tower has been taken off in, I believe, the top lane of the map. Ika goes ultimate, and there is a little bit of life blown back into the sails of SK Gaming.
I'm just amazed by what Seven's doing. In the last game, Superman, he made some plays, and now in Wonder Woman, he actually zoned out the Liliana. He 1v1 Liliana on the bottom left of the fight, and Liliana could not use her AoE abilities and could not do anything in that team fight. And because she was zoned out, their main damage dealer was not in that fight, and that gave SK the damage the damage advantage, and that's what's won in the fight.
And this is where you're seeing a different play style from the Wonder Woman that we saw in Game #1. Vitality using that for a reactive, allowing the engage of SK, and then peeling for her carries. But just as successful at diving onto the Vitality carries, which is exactly what she did to allow themselves that last victory. That 4,000 gold lead has now been reduced to 3 as SK is clawing themselves back into this match.
Yeah, this is huge for SK, and if they keep this up, they're going to be able to come back in this game, because even though Vitality is ahead, they're not winning the objective game. They're not able to push down these towers and basically put more map control. So, because if you, as soon as you lose your tier 1, then tier 2, that opens up so much map pressure for your team, and that's exactly what Vitality needed to do with this comp, because now they're going to let SK scale a little bit here.
Trying to prioritize the bottom side of that map. They want to get this tier 1 turret down on the bot side to allow that cross map pressure from these minions that are coming down, because the Dark Slayer is available, but now it's going to be that Abyssal Dragon that everyone is trying to achieve, as it's going to be Vitality that wants to have it. I believe they're going to get it. Yep, that's going to be Redemption picking up that kill. Pitch tries to go in to help him out, but he's going to get caught out.
Yeah, that was a mistake there by Pitch there, trying to get the dragon. The reason why it's so risky, because Ryoma has the Punish. Punish is the jungle talent that allows you to hit a minion for over 1,000 damage, and he secured the dragon with that Punish. So if Pitch knew that Punish was up, he probably shouldn't have dove in there.
Nice little effort.
Gave away a death.
Sudaro's going to get that little transform going to try to see if they can take that top turret. We are at 10.5 minutes in game, so those towers go down a little bit quicker. That's going to be Vitality defeating Abane. He's going to go down. And this is, again, Vitality with these rotational efforts. They did not prioritize any objectives. I only think they took 1 tower in game #1. And so now this game is a much more valiant effort to get themselves
one
off.
thing you gotta look, they have so much CC on the side of Vitality. Mina has her pull, her Sith, Death Sith, and her taunt ultimate, Dominion. And also you look at Crash. Crash, when he metamorphoses and turns into this huge monster, every time he uses an ability, it slows the enemy next to him by 50% for 2 seconds. So if you're next to a Crash when he's metamorphed and he's in monster form, you're gonna have a really hard time escaping him.
You're not gonna find yourself in a. You're gonna find yourself in some tentacles and getting the life strangled right out of you. As we're at 11.5 minutes. It has been teetering back and forth, but it is truly in favor of Vitality as they are up 5,000 gold here at the 11.5 minute mark. Dark Slayer on the menu still available, and I know that it's something that both of these teams need.
Yeah, Dark Slayer is key here. Whatever team gets the Dark Slayer is going to be able to push down towers and basically win engages because of that 30% damage amplification that he gives to the entire enemy team. So this is a key objective. So for Vitality to set them up for the Dark Slayer, they need to push all the waves into the towers and crash into the tower. So that gives them the time to take the Dark Slayer while SK is distracted by trying to clear out the wave.
And I like this effort of Vitality as well, to have the patience that they do. They know that they're ahead, but they know they need to choose their opportune moments more appropriately due to the crowd control available on SK Gaming. You saw a little bit of a skirmish happen. They're going to be forced to get themselves out and off the mark. They want this last outer turret. They want to get the outer ring out and available, which gives them a lot more. And look at that damage on a Poseidon.
Yeah, you can see the poke there from Liliana. It's just so much. It's just L'Oreal has such a hard time against Liliana because of that amount of poke. And look at Crash tanking for the tower and basically being able to take 2 towers in this one play here. And this is what makes Crash so good. Maybe this is why they prioritize him, because once he ults, he has such a huge shield buff that he can tank these towers and push down objectives.
4 tower shots was just enough to take out the shield, but it didn't eliminate any of the Crash health. So he is absolutely on the mark as we come up on the 13-minute mark. And again, the patience of Vitality is the name of the game. They are making sure that they know every moment they want to go in. You mentioned it beforehand that their shot calling and their strategic macro play was exactly what they felt was their biggest strength, and you can see that shining here and right now.
Yeah, you can see, look at the items on the side of Vitality. Their damage dealer is Liliana. She has the orb, she has it looks like a boomstick there, she has the mask which gives her magic pierce. That she's mostly the damage on her team. Ryoma has rank breaker Muramasa, which gives him some pierce and a lot of attack damage. But Liliana is the person that they need to focus on. But with Zinio and Crash and Mina giving so much peel and protection, it's going to be so hard for the side of SK to really get onto this Liliana. And on top of that, when she does Fox form, when she transforms, it's an iframe or an invincibility frame. She can basically dodge abilities and dodge stuns.
Indeed, but now it's going to be another skirmish on the top side of the map. It is team fight after team fight with Team Vitality ensuring that every opportunity they have to be together, they're capitalizing on just that. Wonder Woman tries to get to the back line, but it doesn't matter. Redemption is going to rip him away and send him back to the gray screen as now the Cryte crops up with that ultimate, taking those tower shots, and they're going to secure themselves that second top turret.
Yeah, and you can see that Liliana, Wonder Woman tried to 1v1 Liliana, but what's different here, Liliana did not kite away from her. They stayed in the fight, they focused, they got the jet, and then the entire team collapsed onto the Wonder Woman because she was so overextended. Wonder Woman does not have a good escape. That's her thing. She needs to initiate, and the entire team needs to go with her. If she initiates and the team's not with her, she's in a really bad position.
SK dominated game number 1. They were the aggressors, but more importantly, they were the ones that were blindsiding Vitality every mark. But now it's Vitality that's going to be striking themselves back, securing that first high ground turret. And this is where things are going to start to get very interesting, because with the super minions in the top side of the map, that's going to be a great chance for Vitality to secure themselves a game number 2 and even up this series.
Yeah, for sure. I would like Lombard to use this Earth Splitter along with Zephy's Death from Above. That is, the Death from Above from Zephy is an AoE team stun. If the team is, Vitality's bunching up a lot. So Zephy lands a Death from Above on top of the entire enemy team, knocks them up, and then Lombard then does an Earth Splitter to knock them up again. That's a combo that SK needs to execute to really win these team fights here.
Now, let's talk a little bit about the scaling of both of these teams, because SK, while they have a little bit of a disadvantage, they do scale themselves up. Cressy's going to get that ultimate, a huge shield to take onto the back line. Moon's going to be forced to go away. A great little dive there by Vex to help them off. And this is a very long and engaged team fight as the members of Vitality are doing everything they can. But SK's focus is going to be the name as Poseidon takes down Sudaro, and they're going to continue off the max. Redemption goes down as well. Poseidon barely survives by the skin of his teeth. They're going to pick up a third kill, and this is SK turning things around.
Yeah, very nice fight by SK there. Liliana was not untouched, and she wasn't able to, I mean, she landed a lot of good abilities, but she had to wait for abilities to cool down. What I would love to see is, once the enemy team was low, she needs to transform into Fox form and back and forth, because when she transforms, all of her abilities gets reset, because when Fox form has different abilities, she can then use those abilities and transform back and then immediately use her human form abilities. So in that entire fight, she was human form, the whole fight. So I felt like, you know, he could have played Liliana a little more aggressively there, because they're ahead and have the damage.
But if you take a look at the winning strategy of the last 2 team fights that SK has been able to win, it's if they're able to zone out Moon on that Liliana. The damage is fantastic, but if you've got a giant Wonder Woman sitting on your face, you're not going to be able to do too much.
Yeah, exactly. And the one thing about Fox form that people don't know is she's one of 4 mages that can crit on magic damage. Her Fox form, which she uses ability, actually can crit. So that's something that has a huge magic burst potential, and this is what makes Liliana such a good hero, because you have to be careful with the Fox form. Once she dives in, she's in a vulnerable position, but she's more of a damage burst assassin that pokes from afar and then leaps into Fox form to then assassinate one of her targets. And that's how I would love to see Liliana be played, Moon play a little more aggressively with her here.
A little bit of a slower reset now. We've had fight after fight, but both of these teams, neither one wanting to get themselves too aggressive, trying to calculate exactly when they want to make things a little bit easier for both of them, as now the members of Vitality as well as SK are lurking onto that top side of the map. You can see the split push happening. That second tier turret on the bot side is going to be very, very low, and it looks like Ika's just going to go in. He just wants to finish that off, trying to get that cross-map pressure, as now the members of Vitality are going to get into the SK jungle and try to secure themselves a little bit of knowledge of where all of these members are.
Yeah, exactly here. So now they're going to basically play a little more passive, both sides here. Liliana is going to want to poke as much as possible. So I'd love to see Vitality just poke more and not engage so heavy, and let Liliana do the poke and force a really awkward or forced error from the side of SK to dive onto and try to get to the backline for Liliana, because honestly, Vitality has the rain advantage, so there's no reason to dive against SK right now.
Fights around the Darkslayer happening. Redemption's going to go off onto the mark. He's going to have to be zoning himself out. And just like that, it's going to be Wonder Woman taking down Liliana, the main damage dealer for Vitality, as this is where SK turned themselves around. They had the resilience. They weathered the storm of Vitality. A double kill is going to come down for SK, and just like that,
they get ace, and that's going to be the game.
Fumbled early, and that is probably going to be game. Instead, it looks like they're actually going to go straight for the Dark Slayer, but the disadvantage that SK had was now turned around with an impeccable team fight.
Yeah, and that's where Ryoma was not in that fight. You know, he was on the other side of the map, and they shouldn't have fought that. They should let Liliana poke and then just disengage, but Zephyrs was able to get onto Liliana. Wonder Woman engaged really hard, so SK just executed the win condition really well, got a 3-on-1 onto Liliana and just basically deleted her, and then that basically won them the fight.
And so now the turrets are down. We are at the 19-minute mark, and this is where death timers are starting to get themselves very, very long as 2 turrets go down. The Dark Slayer is in the pocket. They're going to get themselves an Abyssal Dragon to boot, and just like that, that 7,000 gold difference is now been down to just 1,000. At the 19 mark, it's essentially near negligible.
Yeah, and look at the build on the side of SK. They have 4 people with Medallion of Troy, except for Lumbar, who just needs a lot more defensive stats. But they have Medallion of Troy, which makes them a little more tanky against the Liliana's pokes. But Hercules Madness on the Wonder Woman, and it's the fist with the fire there. It's on Wonder Woman and Malak. That gives them increased attack damage, and also they gain a shoot for 8 full seconds when their HP falls below 40%. So when they're low, under 40%, this makes them extremely more tanky, and it gives them magic defense and armor, which is a great item I see picked up by Malak and Wonder Woman here.
So now we're coming up on the 20-minute mark. Item builds are starting to get themselves finished and complete, and taking a look at the scaling of both of these teams, they are going to have themselves quite the opportunity, but look at how tanky that front line is for SK.
Yeah, wow, very, very nice poke there onto a Lumbar, and they got to defend this tower here, and it looks like they're going to engage here, and I think they should just, again, the Liliana needs to poke more often here, and they need to just back up. There we go. Nice play by Vitality here, and let's see if they're going to convert this. And look at this combo onto the enemy team. Nice. Mina went in there, used her abilities, but they are not able to secure a kill.
They're not. There's too many tanky members, as well as too much regen available for the side of SK. Another blue tower has been defeated, and this is where SK is starting to. They clawed themselves out of the hole of the deficit, and now they're blazing full forward behind that beautiful shield of Wonder Woman and all the power that she provides.
Yeah, what I would like to see the side of Vitality build to help Liliana is Soaring Aura. Soaring Aura is an item that if you're near the enemy team, it actually decreases their magic defense by 800 units. It basically reduces the managed defense within 800 unit span. So if the Mina or the Crash is around the enemy team, the entire enemy team loses the magic defense and makes Liliana's abilities more potent. And I don't see a Soaring Aura to counter the Medallions of Troy that the side of SK has built. So this is going to be a really tough matchup now for Vitality because both teams have scaled into the late game and they're almost completely full build on every side.
So taking a look at what you see from both of these teams, who do you feel is the outscaling? We don't really talk about scaling because very seldom do we actually see games go this long. Where do you see the scaling, and which of these teams do you see coming out on top?
Yeah, I think SK has a better scaling now. Their team composition has a lot of defense. They have 3. They have Hercules on Zephyrs and on Malak. Zephyrs is already tanky naturally. When he falls below a certain percent HP, he starts regenerating more HP and becomes a little harder to kill, along with Hercules Madness, which gives him a huge barrier for 8 seconds once his HP falls below 4%. They want to win the sustain fight here and get onto Liliana.
The members of SK aren't grouping themselves into dubs. Usually we see teams with that 4-1 split on the cross-map pressure, but instead they're going with the 2-3 mid lane to bot respectively because they want to make sure that they stay together because the crowd control that they have as a team are plenty of enough to lock down the high priority targets of Vitality.
Yeah, and I really like the Zephyrs build here. You know, he doesn't have a lot of damage, a lot of health. Every 3% of HP that he loses, it grants him 1% in damage reduction. This is what makes Zephyrs so hard to kill. And if he can stick onto the Liliana and not die before he can kill her, then SK is going to win a lot of these fights here.
Well, we are at the 22:45 mark. A much longer game than I think we were anticipating from both of these teams, and it all it's all because of SK Gaming and the resilience that they had. They weathered the storm of Vitality. But you have to think about it from the other side of Vitality. They weren't able to finish the game and have allowed SK to scale themselves up and to catch up in gold.
Yeah, exactly. Vitality needed. They were winning the early game. They were ahead, 3,000 gold. They needed to push down objectives here. They're actually pretty even on objectives. They actually have 1 tower ahead of the side of SK, But this is looking really tough because SK is playing more. They're posturing more aggressively here, and Vitality is playing more passively. So what each team needs to do is they need to basically poke. Liliana needs to poke and force an awkward engage from the side of SK. And then once they get them low, just rush the Darkslayer once it's up. And that's what they need to do. Whoever wins the Darkslayer or wins the next team fight is going to win the game, most likely.
They're continuously pushing up these waves, forcing the members of Vitality to stay in, starving them of those jungle resources as well. As we see every single member outside of Azure above that 10K gold mark as we're rounding up on 24 minutes. The starving of Vitality has been extremely important for SK because the members of Vitality haven't been able to completely finish that last mark.
Yeah, for sure. Ryomo actually sold his boots here so that he's going to play around the Liliana. Yep, they just need to keep poking here. Liliana they have more range. I don't know why Vitality's playing more scared. They just need to protect her and let her poke down the enemy team on SK and then force a fight here. Because if they keep this up, it's going to allow SK, like SK has the map control. They're going to rush the Darkslayer and then most likely end this game here.
The Darkslayer being extremely important on the next mark, and it looks like Vitality wants to get themselves a little, and Poseidon's going to find himself caught between.
By Azure.
And this is where things are going to start to get themselves crazy. Poseidon's able to get himself healed up enough. Sudaro on that front line. That's going to be a very powerful crash in. He's going to try to get himself a multiple knockup. Azure is on the back line. He's going to go down to Vex. And this is where SK finally turns themselves around. They struggled, they fought, they clawed, and it's now them with the victory. They're going to secure themselves multiple kills. They're going to get themselves fought, and it looks like they might win the game.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be the game here. They get 2 kills. That's enough. With Zephy's down, they're probably not going to push. Oh, they give another death over.
Uh-oh.
But he has Ancestral Glory. Yeah, the throws are coming out here, and wow,
Hello,
now they
team?
can't get Darkslayer. They should have went for Darkslayer here. Now it's even again because it's not enough damage here for them to take Darkslayer.
It was a 2-for-2. Azure barely coming out alive. That was the choke point that they wanted, but SK get themselves caught between a rock, a hard place, and a very angry Vitality team.
Yeah, I really like Moon to use Fox Form more often in these fights. Like, the team is getting low. They're CCing constantly. Like, jump in there with Fox Form. Use your Reiki shot. Your Reiki shot has 200% AP, 2.0 AP ability power scaling AD damage. So she needs to use the Fox Form often because that's where the burst and the damage is coming from. And that's what's going to basically able to secure some kills here. But instead, she's just poking in human form and letting her team engage. And her cooldown is not that fast. It's short, like 4 seconds. But then it's not enough damage output to really secure a lot of these kills.
Well, SK gets himself a little bit of a trip up. 2 members going down, being caught out, but all the while they still find themselves in the lead, about 1.7K gold. 26 minutes into the game, a much longer game than what we were usually anticipating, but with both teams at full build, the name of the game is team fights, as both Vitality and SK the next winner. And let's talk a little bit about Poseidon, not a member that we talked a lot about coming into this game, but he's sitting at 7-2-9 on that L'Oreal.
Yeah, the L'Oreal late game is such a beast, and his build, I love his build. Ancestral Glory means he's going to be revived. He has the Hecates, which gives him a lot of ability power amp, 30% more ability power, along with a decent pierce. And then you have the Medallion of Troy to protect against the Liliana, which is interesting because I feel like more damage would be a little better on her because the way L'Oreal plays is she basically jumps in and delete. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen. They're playing a little passive because no one wants to make a mistake. And this is, I guess, an EU more of a perspective here because EU is a little passive with how they play. So one mistake here from either side of the team will probably end the game. So let's see what's going to result here.
And so this is where we talked about, you said it's either a team fight or the Darkslayer. You've got 3 members down, and with the late game damage, it is going to be SK securing themselves at Darkslayer, and this is where Vitality is going to have to pull themselves a last stand if they want to win.
Exactly, and then SK is the more aggressive one. They're more decisive, and because of the Darkslayer, they now need to focus the towers. So what they need to do here is get the tower down and then fight, because if they leave the tower up doing damage to them, it's going to really put them in an awkward position, and they need to push all 3 waves, and that's why Zephy is going to the bottom wave here. They need to make all 3 waves crash into all 3 towers and then start taking 1 tower at a time.
It's going to have to be all on the patience of SK, but more importantly, it's going to have to be on the trip up of Vitality. If they can keep Moon alive and they can allow that Liliana poke, they're going to find themselves in a little bit more advantageous position, but SK has done a fantastic job at getting to the backline and ensuring that he is out of the fight and has essentially no impact.
Yeah, and Moon needs to poke a lot more here. And there's their engage here. Are they going to focus the tower here? No, SK is getting focused. Even with the Darkslayer buff, is not enough damage now to delete anyone. SK's health bars are going right down.
The health bars are going down. The
She's doing so much
Moon
damage.
is able to get all the damage onto the back line. They're going to have just enough regen, but it's not going to be enough. It's going to be knock-up after knock-up. Poseidon's going to end up going down, but he's going to have that Astral Scoring to get himself back up on the mark. 7 down to 25% HP. Poseidon's going to take out Ika, and this is where SK potentially can turn it off and around. Sudaro barely alive. He's down to 5% HP. Going to jump around and have just enough of a shield to help him out. Redemptions go down. He's going to get the revive. Yes, he's going to get it, and that's going to be 7 taking out Azure as well. And the prolonged team fight happens. Sudaro's going to come himself done up, and oh no!
Yeah, this is what Ancestral Glory, guys. Look at their items here. They all have Ancestral Glory, so as soon as they kill, they come back in the game and revive. And that's where the team needs to focus and wait for the revive to come and then kill them.
30 minutes into the game. Not too sure that's where you wanted to be. That's going to be a 50-second death timer, which, believe it or not, 50 seconds is a long time. And if they're able to take out Poseidon as well, this could be Vitality ending it.
Oh, L'Oreal, she jumped out of the ultimate there. Her smite, the ultimate's smite, and she should have used that Judgment Circle to stay in there and then bait the Roma to try to fight her in her ultimate. Because she jumped out of the ultimate, she's not as strong and her abilities don't come off cooldown as quickly, and that was not a good fight there for SK.
35 seconds on Poseidon. Remember, we are into the late game. It's going to be 55-second death timers.
Yeah, they can end. They can end with this because look at the timers. It's 26, 25 seconds. They have enough time to push the wave here, get some more kills, and hopefully end the game. So let's see what they decide.
They're going to get themselves a little bit of a split push. You got themselves on the top side of the map. Remember, high ground turret was taken much earlier in the match. You're down to 30% HP. Here is where the members of Vitality can potentially end themselves the game. 5 seconds left on Poseidon, so we have to make sure that we worry about it. It looks like they're just going to ignore all the members. They want to go for the core. They do not care.
Look at the damage that's coming out. Everyone's focusing tower right now, but can they pull it off? No, they can't. And this is such a heartbreaking loss for Vitality here.
They tried ignoring. They tried ignoring the members of Vitality, but it didn't matter. The 4v5, it wasn't enough because, like we mentioned, there's too much crowd control. And SK, it looks like they are going to be able to get themselves a final push.
Yeah, and look at the team here. Oh no! The minion!
Oh, the minions! The minions! The minions come through! Vitality!
The super minion!
It's all on the minions. Who cares about a hero flex?
I did not even notice that.
They get themselves the victory and the backdoor of all backdoors.
Goes to super minion.
Even a win as well as everything that the Valor series here and Los Angeles, California has to offer. But we're back. Game number 3 of our first quarterfinal. SK Vitality 1-1. Winner take all.
Yep, and looks like SK is not going to set up the invade this time. And look at the positioning of Vitality. They're positioning perfectly to get information to see the invade is going to happen. The invade is not going to happen. Lubu starts the Vision Bird immediately down on the bot lane there. And then Wonder Woman right away starts the wave here. So this is an even starting matchup here. No team is taking the aggression.
A little bit of patient maneuvering. The last match, it was Vitality that had to play a little bit more passive and ensure that SK wasn't going on the aggression. But now the super minion on their team was able to take game 2. And so now they're going to be one game away from upsetting our first big upset of the entire Valor series, the 8th seed, now 1-1 with SK as number 1.
Yeah, so for those of you wondering, Lubu took punish here, and he knew that he could get the Vision Bird first because Malik is his lane counterpart. Malik does not have punish. Malik has heal. So SK has 2 heals, and because Lubu knows that Malik can't contest jungle, Lubu is going to be able to farm the bird and Malik's little creep there constantly because he has punish. He has the jungle last hit advantage with that punish talent.
Any time, any way that you can counter jungle and harass the enemy jungler, you're going to find yourself in a little bit better position, as now you're going to see a 3-man invade on the top side of the jungle. It's going to force Redemption to walk away. Going to try to get that kill. Ooh, I'm not too sure who that one went over onto, as now the Malik is going to sit.
Yeah, and look at it. So one thing about Tulin is he is a poke. He has a lot of poke. He also has a B ability that lets him kind of teleport in the middle of the fight, so he can play aggressive or back off. And look at this rotation by the side of SK here. They're able to catch out Azure and get the kill, and that gives them the bat, which is a huge first objective for SK here. Their rotations have been just on point lately.
They have, going after every Spirit Symbol, every Abyssal Dragon, ensuring that every opportunity that they have to take those resources away from Vitality, they're going to do just that. And the passive, less proactive play that they had in game number 2 is definitely changing, as already...
Oh, and there's a Zenio comes out there. It gives a 40% damage reduction on the person he's targeting, and also gives a slight heal. So that's what makes Zenio so good to basically counter-engage the opponent, because 40% damage reduction during that channeling is huge for the person that he's saving.
2 minutes, 45 seconds in the match. Up 300 gold, SK. Their first lead of the game, as things have slowed themselves down a little bit. Both roamers on the bottom side of the jungle. Wonder Woman, a very priority target in the just a huge recipe for success that they had in game number 2.
We need to look at the dragon side of the map here. Who is positioning, who's posturing to take map control and win the dragon? Bane is just baiting it and pulling it out to reset him, but the team needs to basically, who can rotate and meet up first, get map control of the dragon, get vision, and then secure the dragon is going to put Vitality into the game here, or get SK more ahead, whoever secures. So that's the most important objective right now before the 4-minute mark, is that dragon.
Obviously, we have the 6 minutes Dark Slayer spawning. We had a very delayed Dark Slayer take, as neither one of these teams wanted to push themselves too much on it.
Oh, nice stun there, but no one following up on there. If they followed up, they could have killed the L'Oreal. So one thing that with Murad here, he's level 5. He has his ultimate unlocked. He needs a minion to stack his ultimate. He needs to hit minions, get 4 stacks, and then dash in and then ult the enemy team here. He's only get 4 stacks, so he should poke with his ultimate here. He's not going to use that to poke. He needs to poke with Murad more, because based on how I've seen Southeast Asia teams play it, Murad is a pain in the butt to deal with, because he has constant free poke ability. He should poke right here. He can poke under tower, not even get focused by the tower. There we go, right there. See? The tower can't hit him when he's ulting. He's invulnerable, and he cannot be targeted. If he keeps doing that and poking them, they're going to win every single team fight Vitality plays to Murad's win condition.
Just over the 4-minute mark. Abyssal Dragon being taken again, and no matter what happened in game number 2, you cannot disagree on the fact that SK's Abyssal Dragon timing has been great.
Oh, gets it with the punish there, and this is a game of skill here. Who is able to punish there? And Vex timed that punish perfectly, because in the game, you know how much damage your punish does. You can look at the health of the Abyssal Dragon. If your punish does 1,000, Abyssal Dragon does 1,000, he can punish right there. But what pros do is Abyssal Dragons at 1,100, they actually punish and do an ability at the same time, so both damage comes out instantly at the same time, and they secure it that way. That's how you guys can outplay your opponents, by punishing and using an ability at the same time before the life of the Abyssal Dragon or any jungle objective is above your punish damage. So just pay attention to that and watch how these people do it. It's pretty amazing.
4 of the 5 members of SK Gaming are up onto the top side. It is now at the mark where the siege minions have been deployed. Lots of extra damage onto these towers, and again, a much slower mark. Vitality have done a great job at sincerely pushing themselves away from that loss that they had in game number 1.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see how Murad is going to play here, because again, he needs to get his the jungle minions. Like win condition, to fight against a Murad, you clear the jungle. You don't give him any minions for him to stack on. If he can stack on a lane and start poking them out, that's what they need to do with Murad, because he's at a huge power spike right now. He's level 8, but this is bad for Murad. If he gets caught out and he doesn't have his stacks up, he's in a really bad position. He can't do anything. He just literally observes and has to walk around.
And so now here is where the fights are starting. It's going to be our first skirmish of the day. Bond going very, very low. He's going to have to be forced to run away with that Thane, as the rest of SK is going to realize.
Yeah, his ultimate is right up. He's going to ultimate right here onto the Malik. Oh, he's not going to use the ultimate.
Not enough damage just yet.
There we go. There it is coming out. And here's the Malik.
That's going to be the benefit that Vitality was looking for, as they're going to have now 4 members coming into the middle of the side of the map. They want to be able to take down that first turret. Actually, they're going to ping right off. That's going to be an Abyssal Dragon available. They want that gold. They want that experience. They want to be able to get themselves as far ahead of SK as possible.
Yeah, exactly. So one thing when Murad, again, Murad, like Liliana, he has 2 iframes, which makes him like good to actually stupid good, because if you look at his ability, his another dimension, the B ability, that circle that he releases, it slows the enemy unit in it, and it decreases their armor. They have, if they pass it, they take extra damage and an armor reduction, so that makes him even more powerful. And on top of it, his ultimate also allows him not to be targeted. So he has 2 abilities where he can use to dodge a lot of Suns and CCs if it's timed properly. This is why Murad is so highly played in a lot of the metas across the regions.
And we haven't even seen Murad's full potential just yet. Wait till he gets a couple more items, is allowed to scale himself up into the mid game, gets a couple extra points in those abilities, because that is where the true damage and the true horror of him as a hero starts to come off the mark, as now SK secures themselves another Abyssal Dragon. That's going to be 2 for the game, up about 800
this
gold.
is looking really good. Ryoma got level 10 before anyone else on the side of Vitality did. SK has a level lead. They should abuse this. Look at the level 9s versus the level 8s and 9s on the side of Vitality here. This is where SK now needs to force and push their advantage here. And even honestly, dive under tower. You get a 4 or 3-man rotation, and then dive under tower to kill like a Labu by himself and then secure the tower. So let's see if SK is going to do a gameplay like this to push their early lead even further.
Got a little bit of a side overload from Vitality, securing themselves up on towards that top side of the map. That Sentinel wanting to be the next juicy encore on that menu, so they're going to take that down, and it looks like they're going to 4-man roam up to the top. The bird gets taken, so that's going to be a little bit of extra vision for them and knowledge of where the members of SK are lurking.
Yeah, nice tower taken there by Vitality there. They're able to take 2 towers in this game, so they have an objective lead, which opens up map control. Even though SK has a slight level lead, it's now negated because of what they just did. Very nice play by Vitality there. The game is pretty even, but since Vitality has 2 towers over SK, they're ahead.
Sudaro going to get very low,
And
just enough of a
bait.
recoil. Seven's going to get himself to go down. The pull's not going to be enough. A sliver of health left remaining for Sudaro, but he's going to be forced to recoil regardless. That's going to be the death screen being taken for 7. Wonder Woman going to have to wait a couple minutes before she joins back onto the terrace battlefield.
Yeah, that was such a nice bait by Zenio there. He did a really good job getting really low. So Taro just baited that Wonder Woman, and the team was able to engage onto her and secure the kill. But they need to convert this to an objective. Once you get a kill like this, you have to convert it into objective. Instead of pushing that top lane, Murad leaves and rotates and goes to his own jungle, which I think is a little odd, because once you get a kill in lane like that, push your advantage and try to get the kill and push down more towers.
Well, you talk about diving be a potential option. It's going to be Moon picking up that kill on the carry Vex. He's going to have to go back to the grave. Poseidon trying to get himself healed up. That's just enough. He will survive. And now it's going to be the members of Vitality that are going down. That is a 2 for 3 in favor of SK Gaming.
Yeah, this is the
Triple
power.
kill for Poseidon.
This is the power of a L'Oreal. You cannot fight her in her smite. She drops a judgment circle, and it basically reduces all her cooldowns of her abilities really fast, and it helps her stack her passive, which is what makes her so powerful. Divine Punishment. Her passive, every 4 marks triggers an explosion that does a decent amount of damage. More importantly, it's AoE, and it's true damage. So if you're around her and you're getting hit by this explosion, you're like bunching up against L'Oreal. You're basically letting her do her win condition, and she basically was able to kill 3 people. And on top of that, her passive Divine Punishment gives her 110 HP after the explosion happens. So it makes her very sustainable and durable during these fights in her ultimate like that.
Another Abyssal Dragon is going to go down in favor of SK Gaming. Precision has been surgical on these Abyssal Dragons, ensuring that every opportunity that they have to take it away from Vitality, they have done just that. Dark Slayer is on the menu as well, could potentially be in order for both of these teams. We're rounding up near the 11-minute mark, dead even, the closest match that we've seen out of this
there's
series.
a few conditions to take Dark Slayer. You either want to get the map control and have vision on the enemy. If they're not close enough, you can rush it, or you kill somebody, you kill 1 or 2 people, you get the entire team low so they can't contest it. You know, there's a lot of things you can do, but a team cannot try to rush the Dark Slayer if the entire enemy team is up as well, given that both teams are so close here.
And we cannot ignore the impact that Poseidon has had on this L'Oreal. Last game was absolutely astounding, already sitting at 4-0-1, a triple kill in that last engagement as we're just over the 11-minute mark. This is where SK could potentially, you know, get themselves a victory. Had a little bit of a scare in game number 2.
And watch Poseidon. Once Poseidon finishes Hecate's, L'Oreal is going to do so much damage, because the reason why is because it gives 30% ability power buff across the board, all of her ability power, and it gives magic pierce. I think 45 or so magic pierce, but that basically buffs up the true damage that she does. So L'Oreal is really good into a comp that likes to stack up on top of her like this, a dive comp. She's basically really good at anti-diving when she fights within her ultimate smite.
A little bit of a tankiness there for the Wonder Woman. Have the tower for the protection. Nabhan and Poseidon are going to join the fray. And here's where that L'Oreal damage is absolutely demolishing the members of Vitality. It's going to force a retreat as now they try to go themselves back over onto the re-gauge. It is hectic all across the market. Isn't a full, it's a 5v4. As you can see, the proxy farming coming up from the bot side of SK Gaming. They're going to be able to get themselves to shut down, but I don't think it's going to be enough to take the tower.
Yeah, one thing that Poseidon did there is he used ultimate too early. He should have saved it and waited for the entire enemy team to dive him, and that's a good time to turn your ultimate up and then just turn that fight around. He used it to engage, and the enemy team was already retreating. The Alubu, everyone was already running away, so he had to then get out of his ultimate to chase down the enemy team and put himself in a little tough position where Vitality was then able to focus him down. So that is really important to time and make a decision on when you want to use that ultimate or not.
But it's efficiency that allowed SK to survive. Yes, a couple members went down, a couple members had a little bit of missteps, but look at how much damage they were able to do on the bottom side of the map. Tier 1 turret, as well as the Tier 2 is almost done. Pitch did a really good job at ensuring to keep himself successful.
Yeah, exactly. They at least traded something so they didn't find as much behind. But now Vitality is looking pretty good. They have a 2K, over 2K gold lead and a kill lead as well. So that puts them in a really good position, even though they were not able to get the they got 0 dragons, and now they got their first dragon, which now puts them a little even more in the lead. 4K gold lead now, looking pretty good for Vitality.
7.8 thousand gold into Redemption's Murad, something that we need to keep an eye on as he continues to get stronger into this match. 13.5 minutes into this game. Vitality up with themselves a 4,000 lead, but leads don't mean anything necessarily. We saw an 8,000 gold deficit from SK in game number 2, and they were able to claw themselves back and secure themselves a gold lead at some point.
One thing that Murad needs to rush, he needs to rush Fenrir's Tooth. Fenrir's Tooth is that red sword that faces to the left. The passive does it increases all damage dealt by 30% when the target's HP is below 50%. So Murad goes in there ult, and if you're under half HP, that item enhances and empowers all Murad's attacks. And once he gets that item, he's a monster in the late game.
We're now just over 14. It's going to be Wonder Woman caught out again, but we know how tanky and how defensive she is for his team. As SK, the rest of their members are going to rotate on. Everyone's in the into the fight now.
Yeah.
It's going to be Ika's going to go down. That's going to be now moves down to 5v4. Poseidon going to pick himself up. Yet another kill. This L'Oreal doing an unbelievable amount of damage. Moon very close to death himself. They're going to decide themselves to back off, but that's going to be a 2-for-0.
What was different in this fight was L'Oreal smited, and everyone was fighting around the smite underneath L'Oreal's ultimate. Again, that is the win condition for Poseidon. You cannot fight a L'Oreal and bunch up like that. She is going to excel. She does AoE damage. She blinks faster. When she lands her blink abilities, it increases the cooldown by 4 seconds. And on top of her ultimate reducing her cooldown, she can blink multiple times in the middle of that fight and set out all these explosions from her Divine Punishment, and she does so much damage. So if we look at the damage calculation, we're going to see Poseidon doing probably the most damage on this side of the enemy team here. Because of how he's playing L'Oreal and using the ultimate to really counter-engage against Vitality's huge dives.
The dives of Vitality, as well as the damage dealing of Redemption and that Murad, as he is almost rounding up on that 5-digit gold mark, sitting at 9.3 thousand gold. 15.5 minutes into this game, we do have the Abyssal Dragon as well as the Dark Slayer up and available. Now, if you're SK, if you're having the lead that you've been able, or the deficit rather, that you've been able to have, even though you've got that 6-1 and 2 Poseidon, how does your strategy change here at 60 minutes
It's all on Poseidon. They have to basically bait a dive because Murad wants to go in. They need to either catch Murad out, they need to make sure there's no minions so Murad can't stack on minions and use his ultimate to poke them down. And then basically fight on top L'Oreal's ult.
This is going to be Vitality getting themselves caught out. Only had, or did not have every single member joining the fray, but now it is going to be everyone finally coming themselves back. Pitch is going to be in the back line with Poseidon. You've got the tanks onto the back line. You said it was going to be all up to her. Still alive, bobbing and weaving, moving around, and that is going to be a 3-for-3, but it looks like it's actually going to be SK. The clean sweep for SK Gaming.
It turns out, and then again, L'Oreal fought in her ult, so was able to do some damage, and I feel like Poseidon could have done more damage, But they had a really good fight there regardless, because Vitality split up. Their entire team was not focusing on the same. Lubu were down on below along with Lumber trying to get the Malik and the L'Oreal. So it actually worked on SK's favor because of how Vitality's kind of split their focus there. So very nice play by Vitality by SK to be able to turn this game around, and now it puts them almost even there because of how Vitality did not focus in that team fight.
17 minutes into this match, it was the juggling of Poseidon, a member that we didn't talk about too much. It was Vex that we were wanting to look at, as well as 07 coming into this match, but Poseidon has stood up, and it's matches like these that dictate the goods between the greats, any member being able to step up at any point in time, as now the Dark Slayer is becoming even more of a priority for one of these teams, because as we get later into this game, the death timers being longer, all it takes is one ace, one clean team fight that could end the game.
Yeah, I love what L'Oreal is building too. She has the tomb item, which has Soul Prison as a passive, and with Murad building so much lifesteal in his items, Tulin building Raya's Blessing, which also has magic lifesteal, L'Oreal counters that tomb actually decreases HP regeneration by 50% per 1.5 seconds for every time she lands abilities or hits damage there. So really nice counter building by Poseidon there on this L'Oreal.
And so, as we are up on this 18-minute mark, all 5 members of SK are lurking themselves around. Oh no, it looks like they're going to catch Moon out. Not going to be enough to come off the mark, as they are going to do just enough to lurk him array redemption, and that Murad saying, all right, we maybe don't want to do this per se. Sudaro is going to be in the bot lane, getting himself a split push. That's going to force the Ryoma roam down by Vex, and it looks like the L'Oreal is going to be roaming around too. They might want to be able to try to see if they can get a collapse. Yeah,
exactly. And you can see the item from Ryoma is he has Fenrir's Tooth. Fenrir's Tooth is also on the Malik, which when a target's HP is below 50%, they do 30% more damage. So Ryoma is going to do a ton of damage, and Malik will do a little more damage when their opponents have less than 50% HP. But Tai is able to catch out SK here, which gives them now map control. Then now they're going to rush the Dark Slayer. This is why in the late game, you cannot get caught out. You have to rotate together as a team, because when you get caught out, you're going to hand over the objective like this very easily to
the Dark Slayer is going to go over into hands of Redemption and Vitality. They're going to be able to have that extra regen as well as that pushing power, and this is where things are going to start to potentially turn themselves around. I say turn around. They've been up about 3,000 to 4,000 gold the entire time, but it seems as if SK is winning every single one of these fights. Tier 2 turret in the mid lane goes down immediately. The members of SK do not want to engage. Pitch is still down for another 15 seconds.
Yeah, the thing is, Murad doesn't have a minion, and there's no wave, so he's basically not going to be helpful in this fight. If he goes in, he's going to get deleted, and that's exactly what happens there. He needed a minion or a wave there to stack up and then use his ultimate to poke down the enemy team, but because he rushed in there onto the tower, L'Oreal and the team just basically eliminated Murad, and he has no defense. Murad doesn't need defense. You have to play very sneaky with him, like an assassin and a ninja from far away. And because the minions were killed, he did not have his win condition up.
Win conditions were not at all, and this is where things are deadly and disastrous for the members of Team Vitality.
This might be game, actually. This is enough time. If the wave comes in time, they can finish the game, actually.
They've got 36. They've got a heck of a lot of damage. Sudaro, he's got the tankiness to try to help himself out, but I don't think it's necessarily going to be enough. Az are still up for another 15 seconds. I believe this is going to be enough time. There are enough tanky. You're going to see Sudaro trying to get himself to stall. Poseidon's going to be able to do the match, but it doesn't matter. The minion takes down game number 2, but it's SK's dominance that takes number 3.
Yeah, Vitality did so well, though, in this best of 3. They really showed themselves and proved that they are a team that can actually beat SK and go toe-to-toe. So really great effort from Vitality, but SK just showing their dominance. They're just better at that team fight. They're better understanding their win conditions. They're better at team movements and rotations. So SK definitely deserved that win.